everybody, it's Jo and welcome back to Trauma Talk. It has been a minute since I've gotten to talk to you guys, and I will update everybody at the end of this video on how I've been doing and what's been going on if you're interested. But if you're not, let's hop into the meat of this video and talk about Tarana Burke's TED Talk and the hashtag MeToo movement and what I believe is one of the biggest and most dangerous conceptions when it comes to the MeToo movement. On this channel, I generally try to stay away from super political issues, but I have seen this one misconception over and over and over again in comment sections, in communication with friends, in talks with educated people. It's not just something that people shout out as trolls on the internet. This is a very real issue, and so I wanted to take a moment to address it. When I saw Tarana Burke's speech pop up in my subscriptions feed on my YouTube list a couple days ago, I took a moment and prepared myself and listened to it. Not because I was afraid of the content of her speech, but because I knew what people's reactions would be, and I was correct. Within 4 hours of that speech being posted on YouTube, the like to dislike ratio was almost twice as high with dislikes. And after I listened to her speech, I hopped down to the comment section, and I didn't find, you know, tons of trolls saying ugly, horrible, awful things, though definitely there were some of those. What I found was educated, well-spoken people talking in complete sentences with correctly spelled words, expressing their concern, their hatred for this movement, their honest belief that the Me Too movement is eroding the fabric of society and corrupting our idea that people are innocent until proven guilty. And that is the one thing I really wanted to tackle, because that is not what the Me Too movement is seeking to accomplish. But I know that people see it that way, and so I wanted to take a moment to talk about that and also the hashtag Believe Women. These are intertwined with one another. I think what people think that people are trying to accomplish is that by coming out and saying, hey, me too, hey, I was sexually harassed, or I was sexually assaulted, or hashtag Believe Women, you have to believe women, that people are advocating that you have to leave all common sense at the door, that you can't think anymore, that you can't ask questions, that you are not allowed to doubt a story. That is not what people are saying. I'm sure that's what some people are saying, but that is not what the movement as a whole is advocating for. For eternity, for decades, for as long as our society has been a society, the default position when someone has come forward and said that this thing has happened to me when it's come to sexual assault or domestic violence has been to doubt them, to shame them, to tell them it's their fault, and to silence them. I can give you countless examples of that, and I will happily do that if you like. I'll link some articles in the description below and talk about what victim blaming is and how rampant it is. People don't come forward and tell their stories because there is shame inherently linked with these crimes anyways, and because of the way that people respond. What the Me Too movement is attempting to convey and change, and what the Believe Women, and it should be Believe Everyone, because women are not the only survivors and victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. Men are too, and at a much higher rate than anyone is actually aware of or believes. The point and the goal of these movements is to change our default position as humans in society from doubting, from placing shame and guilt and blame on people coming forward and saying this horrible thing happened to me, to simply believing them. That being our default position. I'm not saying that you should immediately believe everything they're saying without internally questioning it, without maybe thinking, okay, I'm not sure if that adds up. I am not saying you should leave all common sense at the door. I'm not saying you should believe them and maybe not have questions in yourself. What I am saying is that our default position needs to shift, because for so long, it has been an unhealthy, violent environment for people to come forward and tell their stories. If that can shift, if that can change, positive things can happen. We do not want a society in which people are guilty until proven innocent. In America, our society is innocent until proven guilty, and that absolutely comes with issues. I am fully aware of that, because when I brought my case forward of being sexually assaulted, it was not taken seriously. The man that did these things to me was innocent until proven guilty, from people that knew him to the court system and beyond. I know how that hurts. I know how that feels. I also know that that is currently how justice in America works. Parts of that need to change. Parts of that need to be more friendly for victims to come forward. But I understand that there are parts of that that do need to be the case. However, in society right now, victims are often guilty until proven innocent. That should not be the case. It shouldn't be traumatizing to bring your story of trauma forward. You should be able to find help and support amongst family members and friends and not shame and blame. So let's take what I'm talking about and apply it to a real life situation. But if someone comes forward in a work environment and says, someone is sexually harassing me, this bad thing happened to me, something happened. Instead of gossiping about this person and asking, oh, I bet they really liked it, or I wonder what they were wearing, or I wonder what they did, or things along those lines, the default position should be, I am so sorry that happened. What can I do to help you? It shouldn't be to launch a witch hunt. It shouldn't be to immediately assume that that person they're talking about is the absolute scum of the earth and we should burn him or her at the stake and, murder them in the streets. But it should be to believe them, to point them to the appropriate resources, and to find them help. Now, I am biased in the direction of believing survivors because I know how hard it is to come forward and say anything. I personally know that there is such little to gain from telling your story of surviving abuse because of the way that people respond to you. But I understand that not everyone comes from the same position. So all I'm asking is that you would respond to this person with compassion, with respect, with saying something like, I really am so sorry this happened to you, that sounds awful, what can I do to help? And maybe pointing them to the appropriate authorities or resources to pursue whatever it is that they want, because not everyone's gonna want the same thing. Sometimes someone just wants someone to listen. Sometimes someone just wants to take it to HR if it's a more serious crime. Someone wants to take it to the legal system, and sometimes they don't, and whatever they decide is okay. That is a personal decision. So another example of this would be if a friend came to you and said, hey, I was at a party last night, something really weird happened. I was drinking and then, I don't know, maybe I drank a little bit too much, but there was this guy who kept handing me drinks, and then he got way too handsy and we had sex, but I told him I didn't want to, and I don't know what to do. I felt like that wasn't okay, and wants to talk to you about this. Instead of a common reaction, which is, wow, you really shouldn't have drank too much. That's really dangerous to do. You shouldn't have been doing that. Or why didn't you have a friend with you? They should have been watching out for you. Or, what were you wearing? You shouldn't have been doing that. Which are all incredibly common reactions. Respond with, I am so sorry that happened to you. That was not okay. What that person did to you was awful. How can I help you? How can I be here to support you? Listen to them. Ask them how they want to handle it. Ask them what they want, what they need. Because one of the best things that you can do as a person who is not a source of justice in this situation, you are not a police officer, you are not a judge, you are not a jury, you are a friend here, which is probably what you are to someone if you're watching this video, is just be there. Just listen. That is one of the most powerful things you can do, and then direct them to resources. Ask them, hey, I would love to help you find a counselor if that is something you're open to, because it sounds like you might need some help processing this. If you want that, something like that, let them know that you're here to walk alongside them. None of this requires you to leave your common sense at the door. None of it requires you to label someone guilty until proven innocent. It just requires that you shift your default position from the victim did something wrong in this story, or they're lying, to something happened, I wasn't there, and I am here to support the person talking to me. And I'm going to direct that person to the authority of people who know more about it than I do. When it comes to these topics, reform is needed in our justice system, in our workplaces, when it comes to the people actually managing things. But it needs to start with you. It needs to start with me. It needs to start with how we respond to each other. And so understand that these hashtag #MeToo movements, hashtag #Believe Women, which should be Believe Survivors, because it's not just women. They're asking for your support. They're asking for your belief, but not your unequivocal belief without any question. We're not asking you to label everyone guilty. We're not asking you to start witch hunts. We're just asking you to shift your default position from blaming victims of sexual assault and assuming that they did something wrong and assuming that they're probably lying, to just lending a few minutes of a listening ear, to just lending a little bit of compassion, a little bit of support, and understanding that generally people don't lie about these things. Obviously that is a whole nother topic. False accusations are actually estimated to be 2 to at the most 8%. Most studies put it below that, but there have been actual studies done on this, and like I said, I will link an article that goes more into depth, but understand that people don't make false accusations all the time like society seems to believe for some reason. There is not that much to gain, there is a lot to lose, and like I said, I would know. And this is the world that I work in. I know how destructive to one's life it is to talk about this after you've experienced it. Like if you survive going through it, that's one thing. But then to come forward and talk about it and have everyone react to you like you are the bad guy, like you did something wrong, like you're a lying whore, like you wanted it, like you did something that made you deserve it in some way, is so re-traumatizing. And we can do better, and we can do better without assuming that everyone is guilty simply by someone's word. If you know me or you follow my channel, you know that I do believe survivors. I do believe people who tell me their stories because I know how hard it is to do that. I also am aware of the fact that a very small percentage of people don't tell the truth. But you know what? It's a very small percentage of people. That's not the majority. That's not the status quo. That's not generally what happens. And so it doesn't cost me anything to believe people and to help people and show compassion, because there are so many people out there who desperately need that, who desperately need help. And so until I'm given a substantial reason not to believe someone, I do believe them, because I know the immense amount of courage it takes to come forward and tell your story. I know the backlash that happens. I know that it doesn't cost me anything to show compassion and to listen. So what these movements are asking is simply for you to do the same, to believe people when they tell their stories as a baseline and to go from there. Okay guys, I hope I did an okay job at explaining that. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me in the comment section below. I know I probably didn't cover every aspect of this because it's not a simple issue. There are complex aspects to it, but as a baseline, it doesn't take that much to believe people at first instead of blaming them and shaming them at first. So that is what these movements are about at their core. So moving on to, hey guys, I'm back. I will not be back consistently like with a Sunday and Thursday video just yet because I don't think that I'm quite up to that, but I will be back with videos. I do have some planned. I've done some collaborations in my time out, which I am super, super excited to share with you guys. And I just want to give you kind of a quick update on how I have been doing. I've been spending a lot of time processing through how I've been feeling in the wake of the surgery I just had, losing my leg. It's been a lot more emotional than I expected it to be. That sounds dumb. Like, I obviously knew that having my leg amputated would come with a lot of emotional baggage, but when it actually hit, I was like, oh, this is actually really heavy. And it took a solid 2 months for it to really sink in. And I realized that it got pretty serious pretty quickly and I needed to take care of myself, and I'm still trying to figure out what that means. I naively thought that the exact same tools that I used and acquired over the past 7 years of recovering from trauma would like immediately translate, and they don't. So I kind of feel like I'm starting over from scratch. I kind of feel like I think I said in the last video, like I'm floundering a little bit and trying to find my way through this totally new thing, because hey, like it's a totally new thing. And I have help, I have support. I just kind of don't know what to do with myself, if that makes any sense. And I need like a lot of alone time. And I've started writing, which has been really helpful. I've been doing a lot of video stuff, even just like for my own benefit, which has been really helpful. And I've started drawing again. I've like forced myself to actually start drawing again, because I used to do that a lot and it was really helpful for me. And then I stopped doing it because I just convinced myself it was, you know, too much work and I took it too seriously. And then I was like, no, just cut that out, Joe. Just do it, because you know it's good for your brain and your mental health. And so I started doing that, and it has been helping. So I've been taking time to actually take the steps I need to do to take care of myself. And I feel like that sounds pretty, but the reality is that it's not. The reality is that it's really uncomfortable and difficult, but I know that it pays off in the end. And I wish I could just like fast forward to a year from now. Not that there are time limits on anything, but just that like, I want to feel okay with everything. I want to feel put back together and like I have a handle on things and a handle on myself, but I don't yet, and I'm working on it. So all that to say that you will see videos pop up here from time to time, but I'm not sure how regularly, because I don't think I can, in good faith, commit to a schedule, because I would probably break it, because my mental health kind of fluctuates from day to day. But I think the best thing that I can say right now is that I am being honest with myself and people around me, at least as much as I can, with the fact that like, hey, I'm not doing super awesome, and that's just how things are right now. And I know that it will get better. I know that things will get lighter, and I am doing my best to do the work to get through all of this. So thanks for listening, guys. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to being back with you guys as often as I can, which is so wonderful to be able to talk to you guys. So thank you for being here for me and with me. Let me know how you're doing. I really look forward to hearing your comments and how you guys have been holding up over the holiday season. I know it's not a super easy time for people, so let me know how it went for you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Please take care of yourselves. Until then, I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.